This is the news in brief from the United Nations. The threat of famine is very real in Somalia and South Sudan, and urgent action is needed now to avoid a catastrophe. UN humanitarians warned on Tuesday. The alert followed the latest food security assessments, which showed that 6 million people in Somalia will face acute food insecurity in the coming months unless the rains come. That is almost double the number at the start of the year, said Laura Fossi, World Food Programme Deputy Country Director in Somalia. She explained that the country last endured famine in 2011 and only narrowly avoided it in 2016 to 17 thanks to prompt humanitarian intervention.
There are dozens of camps for the internally displaced people, which have grown exponentially in the last few months. Thousands of households are pouring into them from the areas hardest hit by the drought. They're desperately seeking assistance, and when you visit some of these camps, you can see the lines of the new arrivals coming in, and many of these people are women and children, and frankly, it's impossible to see them and not be shocked by the visible signs of destitution and life-threatening malnutrition.
The situation is equally devastating in South Sudan, where 2/3 of the country will likely face hunger between May and July of this year, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization. This means about 7.7 million people, which is the highest number ever recorded. Famine was declared in 2 counties of South Sudan in 2017, although prompt international assistance prevented the situation from deteriorating further. In Ukraine, nearly 7 weeks since the Russian invasion, healthcare facilities have continued to come under attack, the UN World Health Organization (WHO) said on Tuesday. According to the agency, there have been 110 attacks on healthcare in Ukraine, including targeting of health facilities and personnel, ambulances, supplies and warehouses. At least 72 people have been killed and 51 people injured, said WHO spokesperson Banu Batnagar. Since Russian forces entered Ukraine on the 24th of February, WHO has delivered 216 tons of emergency and medical supplies and equipment to the country via Lviv in the west. More than half of that amount has reached the intended destination, mostly in the east and north of the country where needs are greatest. Here's Mr. Batnagar now.
WHO will be providing 15 generators to hospitals across Ukraine that have limited or no power supply. The generators are destined for oblasts in the east, in the south, and in the north. And we have set aside 2 generators for hospitals in Mariupol for delivery as soon as we can get in.
In addition to pursuing all efforts to reopen operations in Kyiv, the World Health Organization spokesperson explained that the UN agency also wanted to expand its strategic operational base in Dnipro, in the central eastern part of the country, although this still remains uncertain. A top UN-appointed human rights panel issued an appeal on Tuesday for faster progress in finding the remains of people who disappeared during deadly violence that split Cyprus decades ago. The UN Working Group on Enforced or Involuntary Disappearances called for urgent measures to accelerate excavations and the identification and return of the remains of the missing. The panel noted that after the events of 1963 to 64 and 1974, which led to the island's division into communities of Greek Cypriots in the south and Turkish Cypriots in the north, too many relatives are passing away without knowing the fate and whereabouts of their loved ones. Daniel Johnson, UN News.